What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today I want to talk to you about some more relief pitching, but today I want to go over the big names that I'm afraid of taking and some late names that if you wait that I am kind of avoiding. I think that closers are just as much taking the guys that you want, but also avoiding the guys that you don't want because there's so many people who will lose their jobs. There's people that are going to underperform, and that's just how it is. If you like what you see today, guys, hit me with a sub, hit me with a like, whatever you want. Give me some feedback. Let's figure it out. But I'm a man of content, so let's dive right in. And the first name I want to talk about is Brad Hand. Okay, I owned Brad Hand last year, and he was fantastic. He was the top closer in our league. But right after that was, I think, Liam Hendricks. But Hand had racked up just a ton of saves with Cleveland, and he goes off to Washington, so more of the same, right? Well, I'm not convinced, and the reason is because last year Brad Hand was supposed to lose his job. Every single year they talk about how Brad Hand is going to lose his job to whoever is up and coming, and so obviously that's not going to happen this year because he's gone to Washington to close. But I just don't think that I don't want to say the talent level because he is a talented closer. I just don't think that he can reproduce his number one relief pitcher status. And to take him, this has him ranked 8th, but ADP is 117. That's pretty high. And I'm just not buying it at that point. Like, Brad Hand was a good value last year. This year, he's not anymore because people think he's a top 3 closer when he's probably more like a top 8 closer. So keep that in mind. Try to get him at his value. If he's late, then yeah, take him. But if it's early, don't. Kenley Jansen is actually kind of in a similar boat. The Dodgers are going to stick with him initially, it sounds like, but this guy's a bit of a roller coaster. And unfortunately, I like this guy. He seems like a nice guy, but it just doesn't seem to be working, and he continues to age. And I know that people say, well, he's on the Dodgers, so he's going to rack up a lot of saves, and that might be true. But it just seems more likely that he's going to lose his job than to keep it for me. And to take him at 124 or rank 7, if you will, there's so many guys around him that are much safer that will have just as much opportunity. So like Edwin Diaz, I think, is the exact same guy with much more security. You might have to take Diaz a little bit sooner, but Jansen is not secure at all, and I am avoiding in every way, shape, and form. Similar is Drew Pomeranz. The problem I have here is I think that people just assume that he's going to close and that he's closing for San Diego, so he's going to get a lot of saves. I mean, that could be true, but injury history would dictate that he probably won't stay healthy. Outside of that, just to assume that he has the closer role for anything more than the opening day is beyond me. San Diego, I think, will have a lot of opportunity to save games, but I don't think they're necessarily going to go to him. I see a committee here. I see him getting hurt here. I am avoiding this name, and if you think, like I said, just because he's in San Diego, he's going to rack up with saves, it's not going to happen. So look for that. And the last, I think, is becoming more obvious to people, but it's a big, used to be a big name. Craig Crimbro used to be the number 1 closer for years, and I think that it's just a name that we have to be cautious about because, yes, I do think the Cubs are going to win 85 games, maybe around 500, but Kimbrel has not looked the same ever since all these injuries have started to take place. Maybe this is the year he bounces back and actually becomes more fantasy relevant, but until that actually happens, I'm not willing to draft him. There's much healthier guys in much more solid situations around this spot that I would much rather take, so I'm just avoiding the whole situation. I don't want a closer that's going to get hurt and not play. Like, I want a closer that I don't even have to think about. I can just set it and forget it, and they're going to be solid. I know closers are a little bit like kickers in fantasy football. They're a bit random, but I don't want to add to the randomness by taking guys that might not close. They're going to get hurt. They're going to be all over the place. So I'm avoiding all these big names over here, this side, just because there's too much there that I just don't like. So if you're in a category league or you're just one of these guys that likes to totally wait on closers, totally understand that. That's something that I used to do, especially if it's a category league, then I'm absolutely doing that no matter what. These are the late names that I'm trying to actually not take. Another video I did was people that I like down here. These are the names that I'm trying to just straight avoid. Trevor Rosenthal, I think that Again, people are feeling like, okay, yep, he's closing in Oakland guaranteed, and it's not a guarantee. I think Oakland's going to get much worse this year. I know that they're always competing and all that fun stuff, but I actually think that they are going to dip a bit more than people think. So the opportunity for saves might not be quite as high. I think that there's people that are safer. There's people that I know will close at this spot, and that's what I'm going to take. Um, Montero, again, at this spot, I think people once again assume that he's going to close. This just feels like the spot where it's like, oh yeah, I'll get Montero late. It's like, no, I mean, you certainly can, but there's two problems. One is I have no confidence that he's going to maintain the position, but outside of that is Seattle's only estimated to win 70 games. So of those 70, you need him to be close for him to actually rack up saves and all that. It's a bad team, and it's not going to make for a good closing situation. Like, the good thing with Janssen is at least he plays for a good team. So if he is the closer, he's going to get opportunity. At Seattle, that's not the case. So the only way you would ever want to take Montero for me is if he is just lights out domination. Which there's not really that much evidence to suggest that that's the case. So I'm avoiding there. Nick Anderson. I also think that Tampa Bay is going to take a massive dip in the standings, so that's part of this. But Tampa Bay also always does weird things with their closers. They have these weird committees, or they start with one guy and then they kind of shuffle in another, and they always do weird things with their players. They're the starter follower kind of team that does weird shifts and all this weird crap. So I think that taking Nick Anderson as your 11th overall, it's way too high, because I have no confidence that he's going to close. And like I said, he very well might start opening day as the closer, but after that, it's free range from there. And like I said, Tampa Bay, I don't trust the team, and so taking him that high, nah. Last is Jose Leclerc. I actually like him as a pitcher. I think that he has more talent than what's let off here. But I think the thing is that you have to remember, much like Seattle, Texas is, I think they're only projected to win 64 some odd games. So of those games, if half of them are savable games, he might get, that's half. That's a lot. So at most, he's probably going to get 20 saves at most. So even if I do like him, he's not going to get that many save opportunities. So I know the mantra is, okay, well, I'm just going to wait and take like the last 4 guys or last 5 actual closers, and he is an actual closer. But it's just too risky for me. I don't want to sit here with Leclerc and never see Texas win a game. It's frustrating, and there's guys that you can take. They're probably ADP a little bit before this, but there's guys that will have more opportunity to close. There's even like I don't want like committee guys that will probably have more saves than Leclerc will at the end of the year. So like an Archie Bradley technically is in a battle with Hector Neris, but I think that both of them could easily outsave Leclerc, even though Leclerc is the closer, because I think Philly will be good and they'll win 85 some odd games, whereas they're only going to win 60 to 65. So you got to keep that in mind with these guys, is even though they might be the actual closer, it still doesn't mean that they're worth taking. So that's the list, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We made this one quick for you. Let me know what you think. See you next time.